Hello everybody and welcome to Pentahybrid ranks all of the items and equipment in Risk of Rain 2. So, this is a video that I've been planning on making for about a week now, but I haven't had time to sit down and actually do it, and I know videos have been kind of going in the downward direction on YouTube. I've been gone, the world is on fire, I'm sure we're all aware of that at this point. Things are tough, but Risk of Rain 2 is a shining spot in my life at the moment. I've been playing a ridiculous amount of this game, which inspired me to do this video. So if you guys are curious what the game is, if you enjoy watching this game, I would advise you to come over to my Twitch streams, where me and my friends, both solo and in squads, have been playing a ridiculous amount of this. Twitch.tv/Pentahybrid, link is in the description down below, but I'm not here to shill my Twitch channel. No one cares. I don't care. I'm here to talk to you about the rankings of this game's wonderful items. The recent March 31st artifacts update for Risk of Rain 2, it's still in early access for the next couple of weeks, probably a next month or so until the 1.0 launch. Hopu Games has done an amazing job improving this game beyond anything. The artifacts update is as good as this game has ever been. It's added so much. But the one thing about Risk of Rain, and this even goes into the first game, the one thing about Risk of Rain and Hopu Games that will always be ring true is all of the items in the game that are magnificent, unique, some of them situationally useful. That might not be on every run, but if you do get it, it is not a negative. But there are some items that you get on a run and you're like, ah, dang it, I wish I didn't get this. But we're gonna go over these. Some of them I'm not too familiar on the names because I do have my own names for some of them. Like this is the Nugget. This is the Maracas. Like I have my own names for a lot of these, so I actually have the wiki pulled up on my second monitor, and I'm gonna be giving out the proper names of these so that when people play this game themselves, they'll be able to go through it in their own way. But without further ado, we're gonna start up here in the common items. Brief introduction of the items. So these white items, the ones with the white border, are common items. These are pretty much the cheapest items in the game. Doesn't mean they're not useful. In fact, two of these items I would consider to be some of the best items in the game. We'll get to which ones those are. I would rank two of these items above some of the legendary items. They are basically run winners. Or at least not run winners, but they help your run become so good, even with the legendaries. But then there's the green items. These are your uncommon items. I'm talking really fast. I'm gonna have to mellow it down. Hold on. Let me calm. Let me listen to the Purple Rain inspired music by Christopher / Chris Christodolou. I always get his name wrong. Christodolou? He's Swedish or Swiss or Bulgarian. I don't remember where you're from, Chris. I'm sorry. You're one of my favorite freaking video game artists of all time, and I can't remember your nationality, but that's my problem. Anyway, the green items. The uncommon items. These are some of the middle ground items that are just powerful enough to where they can't fall into the white category, the common category. But again, going back to the common category, there are some of these green items, these uncommon items, that are basically run winners, and we'll get into that as well. There are several of these items that if you don't get them on your run, you are missing out a huge amount, especially with the new artifacts update, with like the artifact of command, which allows you to choose your own items when you open a chest. It's ridiculous. There's the artifact of sacrifice, which you don't have chests anymore, enemies drop by. There's a whole lot of interesting stuff, but they're powerful items, much more powerful than their white counterparts, but they aren't always as useful as the common items. Like, the common items are pretty much always going to be useful in some way, and I think that's kind of where it comes into, is like almost all of these items have an immediate effect that's going to help you out, whereas the green items sometimes require a proc chance, which is a proc coefficient, something in the game that I'm not going to go into too much detail about, but like some of these items require a mathematic equation to actually have an effect, whereas most of these are just like speed ups, your basic stat upgrades and stuff like that. Not saying there aren't proc chances up there. Anyway, blah 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 blah. There's already going to be enough talking with all of these items, Penta. Calm down. And then you come into the red items. These are your legendary items. These are your big bad boys. These are the cream of the crop. You want these. Every time you open a chest and it's a red item, you freak out. It's a good day. I would say there isn't a bad item amongst all of these. There's no item in this that I would turn down at any point in my run. They are all good. Every single one of them. Even the worst one on this list, which we'll get to, I don't think is even a bad item. I just don't think it stacks up to its other counterparts. Then there's these yellow items. There's only currently, I think, 5 of them in the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Technically, these are boss items, but we're not going to count those right now. But these are boss items and specific boss drops. They're good. They're probably better than most people would rate them. They're very good. But some of them are less desirable. And then these blue ones are lunar items, and the orange ones are active equipment. So these are your usable items, your spacebar items, whatever you want to call them. And then the blue ones are your lunar items, which you pay for with a special currency called lunar coins in the game. And I'm not going to lie to you, about 70% of them are absolute shit. They're trash tier. I will never take them. I will never touch them. I'm mad when I see them. But the ones that stand out that are really, really good are really, 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 really good. Let's change this music. Double fucking Rainbow. Yeah, fuck it. We'll do Double fucking Rainbow. This is a classic song. This is from Risk of Rain 1. Alright, so let's just start. We'll go. We don't need to explain the tiers. Y'all know what it is. It's Please Don't Touch to God tier. Y'all know what it is. The higher up it is, the better the item is. If it's at the top, it's an instant take, best item in the game type of deal. If it's at the bottom, I completely forget it exists half the time. Let's start out with the Soldier Syringe. Soldier Syringe, on pickup, is an immediate 15% attack speed, and then it stacks exponentially, I believe, beyond that. So if you have 10 of these, your attacks are going to be firing lightning fast. Attack speed is always going to be good if you equate it to other roguelites. Attack speed is always a good thing. It is always a good thing. There's never a time in a roguelite where you're going to be like, oh, my attack speed is too fast. No, the faster you can deal damage to your opponents and make them die, the better it is. Soldier Syringe is an S tier item. It is one of the best common items in the entire game. Tougher Times is a teddy bear. It is a 15%... For those that don't understand Risk of Rain, I'm just going to explain this really quick. The goal of Risk of Rain is to stack items. Every single item in this game has a calculation based on it and how many of them you have. So one of these items might be good, but your goal is to stack up multiples of each. You want to have 6 Soldier Syringes. You don't want to just have 1. The game is designed around stacking items, becoming a god, and becoming an unstoppable force. So I am ranking these all off of their potential and their immediate effect. Just to keep in mind, some of these items are great the moment you pick them up. Some of them take some time to become great. Such as Tougher Times here. Tougher Times it's a teddy bear. And the teddy bear prevents you from taking damage. It has a 15% chance with one of them to prevent you from taking damage from a hit, whether it's a burn damage, a physical hit, a bullet, something. Tougher Times is a way to prevent you from taking damage, and again, as you can imagine, if you stack up 10, 15, 20 of them, it benefits from that. It's not 15% every time. There's diminishing returns. I believe to get up to 95.75% resistance to damage, you need to have like 200 of these things on you. But even if you carry around 5 of them with you, 18% resistance to damage or 25% resistance to damage is still better than 0. You're going to get hit a lot in this game, and having teddy bears is good. So teddy bears is an awesome item. I would not put it in S tier. I want to, as much as I want to. I can't put it all the way at the top, because on a power level, you can still just dodge bullets. Soldier Syringe is going to help you kill enemies faster. This is just, just don't get hit, forehead, that kind of deal. Moving on to the Monster Tooth. Monster Tooth is a weird one. It's extremely bad, but it's not as bad as people think it. It's like It's the joke item. Like, when you kill an enemy holding Monster Tooth, and if you just have one of them, the enemies drop a healing orb that heals you for 8 HP. And then every single one you carry after that, if you stack it up to 10 times, each of those healing orbs is going to heal you for 80 instead of 8. The lowest starting HP of a character in this game is like 150, so do the math, and also consider the fact that you have to go get the healing orbs instead of just like auto-healing or them sucking into you. You have to go collect the... It's a bad item. It's a please don't touch. Don't ever take it. I mean, it's not like a negative to have. You can always trade it in with like a 3D printer and trade it into something else, or trade it in a lunar altar or something like that. You can do that, but this exists purely for those reasons. If you pick it up thinking that you're going to heal a bunch, there's better items in the game for that. What music are we listening to? No. Let's listen to this boy. All right, the lens crafter. Hold on. We just call them the glasses. Yeah, lens makers glasses. Arguably one of the best items in the game. It is probably going to remain at the top for a considerable amount of time. This item is god tier beyond god tier. It is a crit chance of 10% each time you grab it. It is a stacking 10%. So as you can probably do math, if you have 10 of these glasses, you are guaranteeing a crit every single hit you do, doubling your damage for the rest of the run. If you have 5 of them, that's a 50% 1 in 2 chance of dealing a crit upon hit. Even picking up one of them is already giving you a 10% effective 10% damage increase, if you think about it in that kind of a way. There are 3D printers in the game. If you don't have the artifact of command where you can choose your items and stack these bad boys right away at the start, you can find a 3D printer for these, or the syringes even, and just trade in your monster teeth. You can trade in your monster teeth for it and start stacking those bad boys to get as many of those as you can, up to 10. Once you go over 10, you're just wasting your time, but doubling your damage, guys. For 10 items, getting a permanent double damage, come on. Get out of here. It's one of the best. Goat Hoof. Immediate speed boost by 14% upon pickup. It's obviously speed is very important in this game. Defense is very important in this game. I hate to put it next to the teddy bear because they're both defensive items. These are both offensive items. There are going to be some defensive items that are going to probably go up in S tier, I can guarantee you that. But for right now, just a speed upgrade. Solely speed, I don't think knocks it into God tier, but getting 2 or 3 of these on any character is going to help you a significant amount because everybody starts out a little bit slow. So yeah, Goat Hoof, it's a speed up. It's a speed upgrade, and you need speed to properly combat with enemies. These are the mushrooms, and the mushrooms, I believe it is a 20... No, it's a percentage base. It's not 25%, it's a percentage base. Okay, so it's the bustling fungus. We just call them the mushrooms. Situationally very useful, but most of the time you're not going to be moving around a lot. So what these do is when you're standing still, you make a zone of healing around your character that heals you and your allies. With the character engineer who has placeable turrets, and his turrets take after all of his items, this is one of the better items in the game. But in a game like Risk of Rain where you're jumping, dodging, moving the entire game, I'm going to put it in decent just because of its... I'm going to put it in good just because of its usefulness factor on several occasions. Like, there are reasons to take it, but they're so minimal. But I can't put it in a bad tier just because it is still a pretty good item. Its use case is much narrower than the other ones. So I feel guilty putting it down there. So, like, for instance, this thing heals you a percentage-based amount of your health. If you even have 2 of these that you picked up, already it's going to be healing you just by standing still. It's going to heal you more than this, and you don't have to chase down stupid freaking health orbs. Significantly better just by that factor alone. Crowbar. It's a weird one. It's really good on some characters, really bad on other characters. So what it does is it gives you a 150% damage increase per stack to enemies that are above 90% HP. So basically it's a throat punch to the enemy. The first time you hit an enemy, you're going to do a massive amount more damage, but then you're going to go back to doing normal damage. If you stack up enough of them, you can probably one-shot an enemy if you start doing enough of their HP, because you're going to stack up 50% every time you stack the item. Additional damage, but I'm going to put it in good. I'm going to put it above the fungus, though, just because I respect it more than the fungus. It's more useful than the fungus. But I can't put it in great, knowing that it's just like the idea of doing a lot of damage on your first hit and then like having to just go back down to normal damage. Like, just get some glasses, man. You don't have to ever worry about a crowbar again. This is the tri-tip dagger, and this is a bleed item. It gives you a bleed chance on hit. I believe it's 15%. If you see my mouse cursor going into the monitor, I'm actually scrolling down to make sure I get the names of the right items right. So, the tri-tip dagger, and I have to read this one. 15% per stack to bleed an enemy for 240% base damage. So this basically just constantly bleeds an enemy while the effect is active, and it stacks up the chance more. A lot of people that get these items wrong, they think that if you get like 6 or 7 of these, it's going to raise the damage of the bleed. It doesn't ever change the damage of the bleed. The bleed stays the same. The bleed is a percentage of their health. The more you have, the more likely you're going to stack those bleed chances, though. So you can, if you hit an enemy and it does 1 bleed tick, it's going to bleed them for 240% damage. And then if you stack up a second one, you're going to hit twice, and your odds of getting the bleed is going to be higher. Music is already over. This is going to be a forever video. Tri-tip dagger, because it's a proc chance and it works really good with some characters, I am going to throw it into the good tier as well. And I'm going to bump the crowbar up. That might come back down, but... War Banner. War Banner, I love this item to death. I loved it in the first game. I love it in the second game. It's just not usable in the long term. It's really good if you just happen to get 1 or 2 of them. Like, there's no negative effect of this item. But say you come across like one of the shops in the game and it has like the 3 items you can choose from, and one of them's War Banner, one of them is the tri-tip dagger, and one of them's a question mark. I would probably rather take... I don't know, I'd probably still take War Banner. War Banner's still good. Like, I have a soft spot in my heart for it, so it might be higher than it deserves to be, but I still love this item. I might even put it in awesome. There's nothing wrong with War Banner. War Banner, upon leveling up in the game, because your character levels up and his stats go up, upon leveling up, you place down a War Banner, which has a large radius around it, and it's like a dome. And as long as you and your allies are in that, you get a 30% attack and movement speed bonus while in the War Banner. And they do stack. So if you level up twice in the same spot and you have 2 banners down, it's going to stack up to 60%. And if you place a third one, it's going to stack up to 90%. And that's unlikely because you're really never going to level up twice in the same location. But say if you're playing with another person and they also have a War Banner and you both level up and you both place banners down, War Banner's good. Don't shit on War Banner. So this is actually called the Cautious Slug. I call it the Nugget, and it's probably one of the more underrated common items, I would say. A lot of people don't really respect it as much as like the fungus, when I think it deserves to be higher than the fungus. I think the Cautious Slug is extremely good. It gives you an additional regen rate while outside of combat. So if you're in a hot situation, you're getting pecked, you're dropping HP, you're freaking out, you hit your movement ability, you dash out of combat, and you start just taking cover, this is going to increase your regen rate per stack. So it gives you an additional plus 4 HP per stack. You pick up 2 or 3 of these, you'll be able to get back into combat faster. And you won't have to worry about those little guys pecking you outside of combat. It's not nearly an awesome item in the game. I would never take it. I would never, almost never, unless it was like the right situation, I would never take it over any of these 5 right now. I think I would take it over the crowbar, though. I'm assuming that I already have one of these 5 with the crowbar. I can't really assume that, but the cautious slug isn't bad. It's not bad. It's definitely not an amazing item, but people sleep on the slug. Next up, we have the portable shield generator? Personal shield generator. Just a really good item. Just a really good defensive item. I'm arguing with myself if it deserves to be in God tier or not. I don't think it does. I think it deserves to be up here. Maybe not. Maybe even above Teddy Bear and War Banner. Personal shield generator just gives you a shield added onto your HP, so it doesn't take part of your HP. It's just added onto your total health at 8% per stack. And it recharges when you're outside of danger. So it basically gives you a secondary health pool that gets taken from first. Imagine it like in Binding of Isaac. It's like your soul hearts. And every time you pick up one of these, it gives you an additional 8% total added onto that blue shield. It's really good. As for like a white item, if you can get 3 or 4 of these, and then you can just like not have to worry about getting your HP pool drained constantly. These charge super fast. Yeah, shield generator is really good. I gotta speed this up. We're at 20 minutes and we've done like 10 items out of like 75. Medkit sucks. Medkit goes down here. It's garbage. I don't even need to tell you what it does. Don't ever pick it up. Don't take it. It's bad. It's bad. It might be one of the worst items in the game. It is nearly useless. It heals you 25 HP on a delay after you get hurt. So if you get hit for 50 HP and then you run away, a couple seconds later this will heal you for 25, and it goes up by 25 every one you have. So like to make it even useful, you'd need like 10 of these. And that's not even that good because that's only 250 HP. Good look, it's really bad. Don't ever take them. It's like just breaking down the math. 25 health is jack shit in Risk of Rain. And because it's on a delay, just get generators. Just get shield generators. Get some fungus. Get some cautious slugs. There's a couple items coming up here in the green area that you completely make this garbage. Like this shouldn't even exist. Go away. Go away, Medkit. You're bad. You should be better. If it was like 50 per stack, it would even still then it would probably be bad. But it would be understandable to take. Gasoline. I love gasoline. This item was extremely good in the first game. It was a classic. It's one of the probably 5 items that if you mention Risk of Rain to someone, they'll probably think of, along with War Banner. So upon death, enemies, if you have gasoline on you, enemies explode into a massive flame that burns nearby enemies. It's not massive damage, but burn DOT and the burn effect can stack into other things. So gasoline is never really... It's not going to kill things, but it's going to assist you in killing and crowd controlling. So that's where I respect gasoline a lot, is in the crowd control. Like if you have 5 enemies in front of you and you kill one of them and the rest of them start burning, that's going to take their health down, which will then help you and your partners help kill them. It's a crowd control item. Gasoline is up in the awesome tier. I'm surprised there's this many items up here, but I have a feeling a lot of items are going to be in awesome tier, which might have to actually make me move some of this stuff down. Because I'm looking ahead into the, even just still into the common items, there's 2 more items that are probably going to end up here. Oh god, this is going to be really weird. Alright, stun grenade. Is it 15%? It's 5%? Garbage. It's decent. I thought it was 15%. It's only a 5% chance to stun for 2 seconds? 5%? 5%. Good, if you were 15%, you'd be good. If you're 5%, 5% chance to stun per stack, decent. It's a status effect. It's useful, but it's definitely not awe-inspiring. Fireworks, classic. Everybody loves the fireworks. It's going to go into the grate right away because upon interacting with things, it launches 8 fireworks that seek out and kill enemies, doing 300% base damage. And all damage values, if you hear me make a damage value out of a percentage, damage value is based off of your character's current base damage stat. So if like you start out with 12 damage and the firework does 300% damage, it's doing 36 damage to that enemy. That's how the damage values work in Risk of Rain. It's all based off of, all the items don't do flat, most of the items I believe don't do flat damage. There's some that might do flat damage, but it's all based off of your character's current damage. And that's kind of to balance the game as you move forward into the game. Because the game's all about looping. It's all about going as long as you can, becoming a god. Like I said, stacking items, becoming ridiculous. Energy drink. It makes your sprint faster by 30%. And it goes up plus 20 per stack. So if you get 5 of these bitches, you're going to be moving real fast when you're sprinting. It is not nearly as good as the goat hoof. I will not put it up by the goat hoof because it only affects your sprint. It doesn't affect your movement speed. It only affects when you're sprinting in the game. So I will put it in the good. I will actually put it in the decent. Because I would much rather have these two over there. Like, probably by a significant margin, I would rather have these two than this. Backup magazine. Backup magazine just adds an additional stack or a usage to your secondary skill. Like, all of it, the game is based around using skills. There's not really a primary main attack. I mean, there is, but it's all around skills and cooldowns and balancing that stuff, like WoW and all, games you might be familiar with. And backup mag is really good. I like it a lot on pretty much every character. Having additional uses on your secondary skill is really good. I'm going to put it in good, and I'm going to put it between these two. It's probably better than I'm saying it is, but I gotta try and balance this out, because shit's about to get real crazy. Like, the bottom is going to be full, the top is going to be full, so I gotta get the mid game going. Sticky bombs, same thing as stun grenades. I love sticky bombs. Maracas, as I call them, are one of my favorite items in the game. I do love them, but they are way weaker than people think they are. It's a 5% chance to apply a sticky bomb to an enemy, dealing 180% of your base damage. That damage value is extremely low. Most of your attacks are going to do more than that sticky bomb, so it's basically adding an additional attack onto enemies at a 5% value. I love the maracas. I appreciate the maracas, but they're not nearly as good as people would like to think they are. The rusted key. I actually did a test run of this earlier, before I started making this video. I did a test run of this earlier just to see its value proposition. The rusted key is better than a lot of people think it is, but to make it completely 100% useful, you need to have about 8 of them on you. It's still valuable to have one, because it gives you free items every stage. It gives you one free item every stage. Because what it does is, upon picking up your first rusted key, every level past that, as long as you have the key on you, is going to spawn an unlocked chest. That doesn't cost money or anything to open, and it gives you a free item at the same rarity values as other chests. So like a normal small chest would have an 80% chance to get a common item, a 20% chance or a 19.8% chance to get a uncommon item, and then a 1% chance to get a rare item. That small loot cache has the same values as that, but it's free, and you don't have to pay for it. So the rusted key is really good because it gives you a free item every time. It's a free chest if you can find it. But to make it really, really good, where you're getting uncommons and rares on every single level, you need to have probably about 10 plus. It's still a great item, though. It's a free item. You cannot argue with a free item. A free item every floor, you can't argue with it. Even if that free item is a medkit. That still gives you a medkit that you can trade in for anything. It gives you a free item, and item trades with 3D printers and the lunar market have value in this game, and so it's a free item. Moving on to the armor-piercing rounds. I love this item, I really do. It's not as good as people think it is. It's actually called the armor-piercing rounds. I was trying to make sure it wasn't called armor-piercing bullets. I call them boss rounds. I call them boss rounds because that's exactly what they are. These give you a plus 20% damage to all of your attacks per stack, so it's 20 per stack. If you have 5 of them, it's 100% damage. On enemies spawned in the teleporter event, when you're leaving your level and you're moving to a new level, you activate a teleporter. which spawns a boss and a bunch of enemies. And you have to charge the teleporter to leave for those that aren't fully familiar with Risk of Rain. If you're watching this and you're not familiar, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that everybody's familiar with Risk of Rain. If you clicked on a Risk of Rain video and you're not familiar with it, I can't really help you. Just go play it. It's a really good game. But during your teleporter event, armor-piercing rounds give you damage against those enemies. Common misconception with armor-piercing rounds is because it says additional 20% to bosses, people think that it's just all bosses, even when later in the game they can spawn as normal enemies. That is incorrect. It is only 20% damage to enemies spawned during the teleporter event of each level. It does. If you have a Beetle Queen that spawns randomly in a level, or a Wandering Vagrant that's floating around in stage 9, you're still going to do your normal damage to that. It is only when you activate the teleporter that these have value. However, that's still very useful. I'm going to put it in good. I'm going to put it below the Tri-Tip Dagger, because I still think the bleed is highly underrated, because it is a percentage-based bleed. It retains its value no matter how late in the game you get. Whereas this, it just for teleporter events, and oftentimes the later you get in the game, the better you're going to be melting enemies during your boss events anyway. The Topaz Brooch. And yes, I said Topaz, fight me. The Topaz Brooch, or Topaz, as people out west say. So, I only this is gonna sound really weird. I only respect this item because it gave me an unlock. Other than that, I'd put it down here. So the Topaz Brooch gives you a temporary health barrier, which is not the same as shield, and it's not the same as health. It's a separate entity. It's a golden health bar that fills up over the top of your health that is basically a shield, but it's not a shield. And on killing enemies, you get barrier from this. If you have enough of these, it can be pretty good, but like, just get a shield generator. Because it's not health based, it's a percentage of your HP. So no matter how much HP you have, this is going to be the same exact value every time. This is only 15 per stack. So again, it goes to the Medkit hypothesis. If it's based on a number and not a percentage, it's probably going to be lose value in this game, because this game is meant to be played for 3 hours, where you're becoming overpowered, and the more you play into the game, you need stuff to keep up with your current build. I don't believe a Topaz Brooch can keep up with your build unless you keep getting them. So it's going to go in the please don't touch, unless you're trying to get the unlock, and the unlock is where you have to beat a level without getting hurt. The barrier doesn't count as health, so if you stack up enough of these before you get to that level, you can get that unlock, but that's about it. The Focus Crystal. Very good item. Very, very good item for certain characters. It is a 15% per stack bonus on damage to enemies close to you. So if you're sniping stuff from across the map, this will not affect you. But if there are things crowding around you and you need just free damage, it's an overall just damage increase. And therefore it's going to go up here. Probably... It's actually going to go below the War Banner. And I'll tell you why. It's going to go below the War Banner, not just because of numbers. I know this affects you the entire run, and this only affects you when you level up and are in the barrier. But it's still way better. This is twice as good as the Focus Crystal, just on numbers alone. Focus Crystal's still very good. You stack up enough of them, you're just going to be dealing a lot of damage. If you stack up these, and you have 10 of these, and you have 8 of these, and you have, you know, like a couple of these, you're going to become incredibly powerful. The next one I've never picked up. This is the Fresh Meat, and I believe this gives you HP regen upon killing an enemy. Yeah. Increased base health, it's called Fresh Meat. Increases base health regeneration by 2 HP per second for 3 seconds per stack after killing an enemy. I'm only hearing one thing about this. I'm hearing it's down here. I'm hearing it's down here. That seems extremely dumb, extremely bad. If I'm wrong, feel free to tell me I'm wrong in the comments. That just seems extremely bork. And the last but not least in the common items is the Repulsion Armor Plate. This also goes down here. It goes down in the trash tier, and I'll tell you why. because it's another item that bases off of numbers. It reduces all incoming damage by 5 per stack, and it cannot reduce damage below 1. So I had this argument in my Twitch chat the other night. This item is based off of a numerical value, not a percentage. This item, every level you beat, becomes worse and worse because you're getting stronger, enemies are getting stronger, but the item is staying the same. It's not getting stronger with you. It's not based off of percentages. It's based off of reducing just flat damage. And once you get to like stage 18 where things are doing 9,000 damage to you, reducing damage by 5 ain't gonna be helping you, bud. Moving on to the uncommon items. At 35 minutes, oh lord, we have made no progress. I'm gonna take a drink. Hope you're enjoying the tunes. We're listening to some Risk of Rain music to fit the mood. Alright. Moving on, I'm going to scroll down to the uncommon items on the wiki. Because I know I'm going to get all these names wrong if I try to come up with names for them, because I have my names for all these too. This is just Missile. That's the name for it, for that I call it. This is Missile. But it's called the ATG Missile Mark 1. This is God tier. It's not quite glasses, but it is better than the syringe. This is one of the best items in the game. Without an argument. This is one of the best items in the game, even to have one of them. But if you have 10 of them, you don't really want to go over 10. You want to have... I mean, technically, you probably want to go over 10. You might want to have, like, maybe 15 of them. But even just one of these is really good. So on pickup, this grants your character a 10% chance to fire off a missile, a homing missile, that deals 300% damage, base damage, to the enemy it hits. And it's plus 300% per stack. So getting more missiles doesn't increase your chance of proccing the missile to fire. It increases the damage of the missile. Another misconception about this item. Getting more missile launchers doesn't make more missiles shoot out. You still have a 10% chance, but the damage of those missiles goes up. So picking up additional ones is good. Like I said, when I opened up with the item, I'm like, you don't want to really go overkill with them because you're not going to be shooting more missiles. But if you have 15 of them, I'm not doing the math, but 15 times 300, I'm sure you guys probably understand. Those missiles be rocking. Oh, the Will-O-the-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp is classic from the first game. One of my favorite items in the game, if not my favorite item in the game. Basically, it's a kamikaze bomb. So what the Will-O-Wisp does is upon killing an enemy, they explode. Not gasoline style. They don't just shoot out fire to burn things. They explode. They erupt in a giant fiery explosion that not only expands the radius of it the more you pick up, but the damage goes up the more you pick up. It's right up here. It's not quite syringe level because I still think attack speed. Let me put it this way: attack speed is going to help you launch more missiles, but the missiles are better than the syringe. However, the syringe is going to help you kill more enemies to help these fire off. So that's how I'm going to kind of weigh that up there. But the Will-O-Wisp is amazing. Everybody loves it, including myself. Hoopo Feather, it's S tier. We're gonna have a lot of S tiers out of these greens. Oh, we're gonna have a lot of S tiers out of these greens. I'm gonna have a hard time ranking them out more. Because I can't drop the Hoopo Feather down here. You just can't do that. So the Hapu Feather, or Hopu Feather, it's the developer of the game, Hopu Games, but the Hopu Feather gives you double jump. And every single one you pick up gives you an additional jump, up to like 50 jumps. You can have 50 feathers and have 50 jumps. Mobility is amazing in this game. That's why it's just slightly above the goat hoof. Oop, no. Just slightly above the goat hoof because I believe a double jump is more important than moving faster. However, having both of them, very good. Ukulele. Do we need to say anything else other than his music was electric? Ukulele is one of the best items in the game. I often battle myself which one I think is better, Will-O-the-Wisp or Ukulele. I think they work together in a way that I think other items in the game don't really work as well together as these two, and that's why I always try to get gasoline, ukulele, and will-o-wisp on my runs. I like to combine those 3 items because it becomes an absolute nightmare. It becomes a mosh pit of explosions. Gasoline starting things on fire, burning them to death. When they die, they explode in a fiery eruption. And ukulele is chain lightning between enemies. It is chain lightning that bounces in arcs between enemies. Another common misconception, I'm just going to eliminate it right here. Getting more ukuleles does not make more lightning bolts. All stacking ukuleles does is makes the range that the arc will shoot out more, and it will make the... Is it the damage? Or is it the amount of times it can arc? It's the amount of time. Let me just like... 25% chance to fire lightning for 80% total damage on up to 3 plus 2%. Yeah, so it's the amount of times it can arc and then the range it can arc. It doesn't actually increase the chance of doing it. There are ways to increase the chance of it arcing. That's a later item. Moving on to the Leech Seed. Leech Seed is a classic, but it's lost its value to me. Every hit of damage you do heals you for 1 HP, and you get +1 for each stack of this you have. So if you have 5 of them, every hit is going to heal you 5. It has lost its use to me. It's still extremely good. I will put it in the great. I think it is one of the best early game healing items in the game. But I don't think it's as good as it used to be because it's got far outweighed by one other item that's we're quickly approaching, and I'm sure Risk of Rain fans know exactly what item I'm talking about. Moving on to Predatory Instincts. What is there to say? It's like an amazing item. If you stack this with the glasses, Predatory Instincts gives you a 5% upon picking it up the first time. It doesn't stack, but upon picking up the first time, it gives you critical chance. 5% crit. And upon dealing a critical strike, you get 12% attack speed that can go up to 36%. The first one you pick up stacks to 3 times. The first crit you do, you stack 12% attack speed. The second crit you do stacks up to 24. The third hit you do stacks up to 36. And every stack of Predatory Instincts you pick up adds 2 more stacks to that. So it'll go up to 48, and then 60, and then 72, and then 84, 96, and it goes on and on and on. 108 and 120. It goes on and on and on. Eventually your attack speed is ridiculous because you're dealing crits. And that's why I said if you stack it with the goggles, it becomes one of the better items in the game. I'm still not going to put it above these 3 because it requires crits. And this gives you crits. This increases your chance of dealing crits because you're attacking faster. And the attack missile is just extremely overpowered. But Predatory Instincts, if you have 1 or 2 glasses, and I'm telling you to get 10, but if you have 1 or 2 glasses, you have a 20% chance to gain attack speed on hitting people. It's crazy. It's a very good item, and it just gives you a crit chance upon picking it up the first time. Really good. Red Whip, I don't want to talk about it. It's garbage. I hate it. I don't think it's awful. I don't think it's trash tier, but I definitely don't think it's... Yeah, it's trash tier. I really can't put it next to it. Like, energy drink is already better than it. That's where I sit with Red Whip. So Red Whip gives you it gives you movement speed outside of combat. Like, let me break it down to you. The energy drink gives you 30% sprint speed. The goat hoof gives you 14% movement speed. The Red Whip gives you 30% movement speed after leaving combat. So it basically just helps you run. It helps you run away. I'm not gonna lie to you, maybe getting one of them isn't the worst, because like, if you need to leave combat really quickly to heal or something, like maybe in that situation it's good, but I can't think of a reason to take it, honestly. I can't think of a reason to take it, I'm sorry. Moving on to the Old War Stealth Kit. It's better than I think people know it is, or better than people think it is. However, it's not the best item. So, the Old War Stealth Kit, this is going to take forever, chat, sorry. The Old War Stealth Kit, I'm going to start speeding it up here. I'm just going to, like, assume you guys know what the stacking effect... Like, everything in this game stacks. I'm not going to break down the numbers. I'm going to tell you what the item does. Assume that it gets better the more you get. And we're just going to rush through the last of these items because I can't be here for 2 hours. So, the Old War Stealth Kit. Chance on taking damage to get 40% movement speed and invisibility for 3 seconds. The chance increases the more you take. So if you take a heavy hit, you have a higher chance of gaining your invincibility and movement speed. It's really good defensively. I'm going to put it right under the mushrooms. I still don't think it's very good. It's definitely above everything below it, but it's not the best item in the game. Next up, we have the Harvester Scythe, and there's not much you can say about this other than it's effectively the best healing item in the game, I would say. Second best healing item in the game. We'll get to the best one in a moment. This is an extremely good item. Critical, it gives you 5%, just like Predatory Instincts. These two go together. These two go like hand in hand. This one's directly above it. These two go hand in hand with the glasses. This is a crazy combo build if you get these 3 to stack together. Ridiculous. The Harvester Scythe, like the Predatory Instincts, gives you 5% critic chance on picking it up the first time. It doesn't stack after that. But it gives you 8 health per stack on critting. So if you crit while holding this, it heals you. Every crit heals you while holding this. And it stacks up 4, 4, 4 after that. So the more you pick up, the more it's going to heal you upon those crits. So if you max out your crits, you have this. You're shooting fast because you have max crits, because you have this. Every crit is healing you for 20. Why would you want Leeching Seed? That's kind of been my point about healing items. Fuel Cell. Everybody knows what Fuel Cell does. It gives you an additional active items use, and also reduces the cooldown of all active items. It's extremely good. Very good item. Has some ridiculous synergies in the game. However, I wouldn't say it's an S tier item because it requires your active item being really good. And some of them you don't want to, like... I mean, it's just a cooldown. Cooldown makes it really high, as well as being able to use your actives a couple times. But I wouldn't put it in S tier. Fuel Cell's good. Infusion. Infusion gives you permanent HP upon killing enemies, up to 100. So every enemy you kill with Infusion, you gain HP, max HP. I'm going to put it above the Portable Health Generator. I'm actually going to put it above the Goat Hoof as well. It only goes up to 100 per stack, so if you have more than these, you can heal more, or gain more max HP, but it's a great item. I wouldn't say it's very, very good, though. I like how I don't have it in great, but I called it a very, very good item, but it's not in great. It's, yeah, I don't know. I'm placing them where I'm using them. I'm not using the words that I'm using. You know what I'm doing. Bandolier is pretty good. I'm going to put Bandolier right here. I'm going to put Bandolier right there. I'm going to put it under the Tri-Tip Dagger. I think Bandolier is good, so upon killing an enemy, they have a chance to drop a ammo box that will recharge all your cooldowns. On certain runs, you should just want to have one of these because recharging your cooldowns, especially during boss fights, is really good. Berserker's Pendant. This is the one that I always forget what it does. This Death Mark is the one that gives a mark for death. Berserker Pendant. Killing enemies within 1 sec. Killing 3 enemies within 1 second gets you into a frenzy for 6 seconds. That increases movement speed and attack speed. It's a very good item. And I don't ever grab it when I see it. And I should start grabbing it when I see it, because that's, like, extremely good. Late game, when you're killing, like, 7 enemies all in a bunch, just the attack speed plus 100%, movement speed plus 5 or 50%, that's, like, really good. That's extremely good. Wow, that's actually really good. I'm gonna put that up here above Infusion. I'm gonna actually put that up in the top of the awesome tier. I think that's, like, way... I might be underrating that item, actually. Yeah, that's really good. I might be underrating that. Rose Buckler, this is the one that just gives you armor when you're dashing. It's okay. I'm gonna put that under here. I might put it above the fungus. I'm not gonna put it... Meh. Nah, I'm not gonna put up the fungus. It's not even that good. Old War Stealth Kit might even be better. I'm gonna put that right there. This is Runald's band that fires off an Ice Blast. Yeah, this has a chance of firing off a runic Ice Blast when you kill an enemy, or hit an enemy. Yeah, hit an enemy. It's okay. It's good. I'll probably put it up here. I'm gonna put Leech Seed down here. I thought about that. Leech Seed just... I kind of lost myself on Leech Seed a little bit. And the same thing with this one. It's gonna go, like, right next to each other. This one's ice, this one's fire. They're basically the exact same item. One does fire, one does ice. I believe Jaro's band does way more damage. I believe this one does, like, double the damage this one does because it's fire and has burn, but they're basically the exact same item. Chronobauble is kind of a joke at this point in the community of Risk of Rain. I remember when it first launched into early access, people were like, it's really good! It's not really good, it's actually really bad. It just slows enemies. Just kill the enemy, you don't need to slow them down, just kill them. That's like, what's your problem? Why are you slowing an enemy down? Kill him. Kill him. Why are you slowing him? Kill him! Your goal is not to make them move slower, it's to lower their HP bar. The quail. The dove. Is it actually called the wax quail or is it called the dove? I call it the dove. It's called the wax quail. Extremely good item. I have learned in recent memory to start liking this item a lot. I do enjoy this item quite a bit. It is extremely good defensively. I wouldn't put it in the top tiers, but it is very good. Is anything even playing right now? No. Let's go with one of these boys. It basically allows you to, if you're sprinting and you jump, it lets you boost you forward. It makes you do a long jump. And then the distance of that long jump goes up the more of them you get. Here we go, baby. Here we go. The old guillotine. This is a disgusting item. I'm gonna still have the glasses above it, though. The glasses are top tier. Yeah. Old guillotine instantly executes elite enemies at 20% of their HP. So, effectively, the guillotine just removes HP from elites, because you only have to do 80% of their damage to them, and then they die instantly. And then every single one you pick up incrementally adds to that. Up to, like, I had a run where I had 25 of these, and the elites had, like, 80% of their HP gone. And I only had to do, like, 8 hits to them, and they would just explode. It's disgustingly good, and I love it to death. It should not be a green item. That's all I'm saying. It should not be a green item. It should definitely not be a green item, but I'm glad that it is, because it makes me gross. This is the Warhorn. This one is activating your equipment gives you 70% attack speed for 8 seconds. This is one that I know about, but I don't use very often. Activating your equipment gives you 70% attack speed. That could stack really cool with some items. The Gesture of the Drown. That could be really good with that. We'll get to Gesture of the Drown in a minute. And by a minute, I mean like probably like 80 minutes. Warhorn is good. I'm going to put it up here. I still don't think it's better than Tri-Tip Dagger. I really like Tri-Tip Dagger. I might actually bump Tri-Tip Dagger up. I think it's extremely good. 15% chance to bleed. Bleed is grossly underrated in the game. This is a feather, or flower. What's it called? It's called the flower of... It's the leech... It's the Lipton Daisy. Lepton Daisy. It's not very good. On the teleporter event, it will heal all players at the teleporter during the fight at some point. I mean, it's okay, but like you should be responsible for your own healing. Like, I guess it doesn't do any harm, but it's also like it doesn't really, it just kind of gets in the way. I guess bonus points, it makes your teleporter look pretty. Alright, now we're getting into the real G's. Now we're getting into the real... Wait, no we're not. Never mind, we're not getting into the real G's. We still got some greens to go through. We got several greens to go through. Let me knock them out real quick. Razor Wire, extremely good. Razor Wire, very, very good. Upon taking damage, it shoots out razors that deal damage to everybody. Nor's Tome, this just drops money on kills. But the money does not suck up to you, so it's good, but it's not very good. So I'm going to put it under the Rose Buckler. The Squid Cannon. I hate this item. I think it's disgusting. It has no use. It just, when you open something up, it puts a little squid turd on the ground, and it like just dies after like 20 seconds. Pretty dumb. Pretty bad. I think I'd rather have the Topaz Brooch than it. And Deathmark. Deathmark, very good. Deathmark, very good. If enemies have 4 or more debuffs on them, and you mark them with this, they take 50% more damage from every attack. Extremely good. I'm going to put it below Gasoline, but above the Quail and the Razor Wire, because I think this can be really good with certain builds. But the ability to get 4 debuffs on an enemy, you have to be built the right way. That's where stuff like this come in, Gasoline come in, being able to stack those debuffs. That's all the green items. Alright, let's move on to the big boys, the legendary items, red items. We are almost at an hour of this video. This is ridiculous. I am sorry. I ramble. There's a lot of stuff to cover. Don't worry, the lunar items... Actually, let's just knock out the lunar items right away. Let's just knock them out. This is going to be real quick. We'll do the lunar items and the boss items, like, back to back to back, because these are all extremely easy. Okay, Shaped Glass, S tier. It's below everything else, but it's an S tier item. Halves your HP, but doubles your damage. Extremely good. Brutal Crown, garbage. One of the worst items in the game. It gives you a chance to earn money upon hitting enemies, but you lose gold upon taking damage. Extremely bad. Garbage item. Should never use it. Transcendence. I'm gonna put it, like, literally in the middle of everything, because it's so situational. It's for how good it is, it's still so situational. This item is extremely good. Don't let its placement fool you. Transcendence is extremely good. Like, probably top tier. I can't put it down there. I have to put it up here. It's so good. So Transcendence converts all but one of your HP into shield. And then you gain 50% max HP, which then turns into shield on top of that. So it's a health up, but it turns into shield. You can no longer heal from normal things, but your shield recharges really fast if you're outside of combat. It's really good. It works well with Infusion, because of the plus 50% HP, these actually give you plus 150 by having it. Transcendence is really good, but it's a risky take. Be careful. Pretty much all of these are going to be risky takes, but be careful. Corpse Bloom, disgusting. Don't take it. It gives you a plus 100% to all your healing in the game, but it slowly adds to your HP instead of being in, like, one amount kind of thing. It's just applied over time. You never actually gain bursts. Just like, it, like, builds up a vial of HP that you're going to heal, and then slowly drips it into your HP bar. Considering that 90% of the things in this game kill you in one shot, it's not good to have your healing slowed down. So it's bad. Really bad. Gesture of the Drowned. It reduces your equipment cooldown by 50%. Better than a fuel cell. Extremely good. The downside of it being a lunar item is that your active items always activate as soon as the cooldown is up. So you're constantly using your active item. It sounds risky, but it's actually extremely useful. Like, you don't, like, you're just walking. If you have the portable missile pack, which, speaking of which, we're just gonna put it up here anyway. If you have the portable missile pack, which just fires off missiles out of your back that home in and seek enemies, literally just this missile, but shooting out of your backpack. This plus this means that this is always just going to be going, and it's going to have half of the cooldown it normally would. Gesture of the Drowned is extremely good. Always worth taking. This is the Claws of Heresy, or it's the Strides of Heresy. I don't like this item. I understand it. I don't like it, though, because I don't like any of these Heresy items that replace skills of yours. So this takes away your utility skill, which is your shift skill, which a lot of characters' shift skill is their movement skill, like their dash or their blink. This replaces that with, like, a shadow being, like you turn into Noob Saibot from Mortal Kombat, and you just, like, vanish into the ground and skate around. Like, you gain health over the time of doing it. I just don't like it. I think it's dumb. Anything that replaces your skill, and speaking of things that replace your skill, you can go down in the trash tier as well. This actually gets rid of your main attack. This just gets rid of your main attack and turns it into, like, a cooldown, like, shard throwing attack. It just takes away your main attack. So, like, you get out of here. This bad boy is actually, like, really good, but I'm gonna put it up in awesome. I'm gonna put it up in awesome. Probably the bottom of awesome. I still think I like the Quail more than it. I actually like Razor Wire more than it, too. So what this thing is, and this is the, what is it? Focused Convergence. This basically makes your teleporter charge faster, but it lowers the zone. It shrinks the zone that you have to be in to charge the teleporter. But for the fact that it's going to be charging faster, dude, shrink my porter. Shrink it. Charge faster. Get me through that level faster. Takes it from 1.5 minutes down to 1 minute the first time you pick one up. Gimme it. It's amazing. Gimme it. Beads of Fealty. The only use in the game for these right now is to fight like the current quote-unquote final boss of the game. And because of that, as cool as I think the last boss fight is, it's really not useful for a run type of deal outside of like meeting a boss. Well, yeah, you get 10 lunar coins for fighting him and winning, but like then you're just gonna recycle them into more lunar items. So like, I love the idea. I love the fight. I love the arena. I think the Twisted Scavengers are some of the coolest things in the game, but on an item-based standpoint, it's not very good because it doesn't do anything. This is the Meteor. This is the Meteor, glowing meteorite. Rains down meteors from the sky that can also hurt you and your opponents, or you and your allies. High damage output, risky. I'm going to put it at the bottom of the decent tier. I still think it has its use. They do telegraph themselves. They telegraph themselves with like big blue circles. If you stay out of the circles, you're good. But they do a shit ton of damage and you can kill your teammates pretty easily. Hellfire Tincture, I believe, is the thing that just ignites all enemies. I think this thing is garbage. I think it's like one of the worst items in the game. I tried to talk to my buddies about it. They're like, oh, it's actually really good. I'm like, nah, it's really bad. It just burns enemies upon use in like an aura around you. It does 5% of your max health as damage. So like if you have 2,000 health, it does 20 damage to every enemy. It's like really bad. And it hurts you. And it hurts you. It hurts you and your allies, and it slowly does damage. No, fuck that. Just get a better attack item. Effigy of Grief. You throw it down on the ground. Enemies within it are slowed and have reduced armor, including yourself and allies. Another item that I think is trash. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of lunar items in the trash tier. I think most of them need a rebalancing and are garbage. And if they choose not to rebalance them, that's fine. That's fine. It's perfectly fine not to rebalance them. I'll just skip them. I'll spend my lunar coins elsewhere, because I don't really, like, on the ones that actually I like. And last but not least, Spinal Tonic. This thing is gross. It's disgusting. It's way too strong, especially with this and a couple fuel cells. You can become effectively just like a superpower. A superpowered maniac. So what it does is it gives you like an all stats up for 20 seconds. It gives you an all stats up. Let me actually read off the specific effects of it to make it purely insane. Alright. Drink the tonic, gaining a boost for 20 seconds. Increases your damage by 100%. Increases attack speed by 70%. Increases armor by 20%. Increases maximum health by 50%. Increases passive health regeneration by 300%. And increases your movement speed for 30%. When the tonic wears off, you have a 20% chance to gain a tonic affliction, reducing all of your stats by 5%. So, the risk of this item is if you get that affliction, you lose stats. Like, you lose damage, you lose HP, you lose movement speed. And 5% is much bigger than people think it is. Again, if you have 2,000 health, you'll lose 20 HP. Like, that's not a huge amount, but it's still a lot. But, the actual 20-second burst of all those stats could be the difference between winning a run or losing a run, and if you combine it with stuff like this, and the, like, we're gonna get to it, but the 57 leaf clover, if you get the right combination of items, you can consistently just always have those increased stats and never have to worry about losing stats. Which we'll just throw the 57 leaf clover. I'm not gonna do that yet, because that's a spicy one. That's a spicy one. But this basically, this is a item, if you have this and this together, it actually reduces that affliction chance to 4%. Which means basically on a horrible dice roll you might lose stats, but most of the time you're not going to. And then this always activates stuff. So this will just be activating constantly. Extremely gross. And that's all the lunar items, so boss items. Titanic Knurl. Titanic Knurl is increase maximum health by 40, and then increase your health regeneration. It's really decent, and I'm saying that in the nicest way possible, but it's not very good. I would much rather get just a regular green item from a boss fight than get this. If it was percentage-based, it'd be different, but it doesn't actually increase your max HP by a percentage. It only gives you 40 additional HP, which, again, things based on numbers are not really that good, but it's not going down on the bottom because it does give you health regeneration, which is good. This is the Beetle Guard. It gives you a summonable Beetle Guard that just runs around and does damage. I have zero problem with this item. I don't think it's very good. I think it's going to actually go, like, maybe even above the Knurl. Maybe above these two, actually. I don't think it's better than these two. But I think it would go... I think it fits in snug right there. Pretty good, like having a little battle buddy. I have no problem with that. This is the... I forgot the name of it. Halcyon Seed. So the Halcyon Seed actually is a secret item that you get from beating Aurelionite. And he's a secret boss, and upon getting this from beating him, you can actually summon him during boss fights, and he does a shit ton of damage. He has a whole bunch of health. It's actually pretty badass. He goes up in the awesome tier just because you can summon a boss on your side. I think that's badass. I hope they do more stuff like that down the line. And if you pick up more of them throughout the run, if you duplicate them or get more of them, it just makes him stronger during the boss phase, which is kind of unnecessary because he's already a god. But next up, we have the Potato. It's the Little Disciple. So this is the Potato. I call it the Potato because it's a potato. Tell me that's not a potato, it's a potato. This is an extremely good item. It goes in God tier. I'll put it above Transcendence, but I'm not going to put it above... I'm going to actually put it above... No, I'm not going to put it above Jester of the Dead. Or Jester of the Drowned, excuse me. So Little Disciple is the Potato, which is the Grove Tender's boss item that he drops, has a chance to drop. So while you're sprinting, this just shoots out wisps that just constantly damage things. It's extremely good. Next up, we have the Genesis Loop. Yeah, the Genesis Loop, which is the Wandering Vagrant's boss item, and is really, really good as well. This is going to go up by the Halcyon Seed. It's extremely good. I would actually take it over the Halcyon Seed. So what this does is if you fall below 25% health, you explode in that Wandering Vagrant AoE damage attack that he does. You explode into that, doing 6,000% damage to everything near you. Very, very good. Very, very good. Then we have the Pearls. This is just a standard Pearl. You get this from a cleansing pool. It just increases your max health by 10%. Because it's a percentage-based item, it's going to go up here. Already better than this because this is only 40 flat health. This is 10% of your HP. You have 2,000 health. You get 200 HP. It's really good. Really, really good. And then you have the Iridescent Pearl, or the Irradiant Pearl, excuse me, which I've never even seen. Never even seen in the game. I know it exists, but I've never seen it. And this is one of the best items in the game. It increases all of your stats by 10%. Every single one of your stats by 10%. There's really not an argument for it to be up there. There really isn't an argument because everything below it is based on stats, and that increases all your stats by 10%. There's really no argument that it's the best item currently on the board. All right. Last but not least, the legendaries and the actives. Oh god. I'm gonna blitz through these legendaries. All right, I'm gonna do them in the order that I have them on the wiki. The Aegis. Healing past full grants you a temporary barrier for 50% of the amount you healed. So basically, if you overheal, you get a barrier shield that, like, the Rose Buckler would give you. Extremely good. I would not say it's one of the best items in the game. I would actually take it, like, I would say it's very good, but I wouldn't put it in the top tier. Next up, we have the Alien Head. Alien Head reduces all of your skill cooldowns by 25% per stack. Extremely good. One of the best items in the game, I would say. Very, very good. I love that item to death. On certain characters, it's an absolute must. Next up, we have Brainstalks. Disgustingly, stupidly overpowered item that should not ever exist. This item is... It's gross. Upon killing an elite monster for 4 seconds... none of your skills have cooldowns. So you can just spam fire your skills upon killing an elite. And later in the game, when pretty much every enemy is an elite, you can just basically spam fire your attacks constantly. It's disgusting. It's one of the best items in the game. Brilliant Behemoth. Everybody's favorite, especially from the first game. Every single one of your attacks explode, and it's a damage increase of 60%. Above Brainstalks, not above this. It's definitely one of the best items in the game. I would go to war for this item. It's always my first red if I have the command artifact on. It's always the first red I grab because flat damage increase, and it's just AoE. It makes everything that you do explode. It's majestic, it's beautiful. I love it. Ceremonial Dagger. You're going to see a lot of these items end up in the top row. I'm just saying. There's a reason they're red and they're legendary. Ceremonial Dagger. Upon killing an enemy, it fires out 3 homing daggers that deal 150% base damage. Extremely good. I would not say it's over... I would not say it's over these two, just because of how gross these both are. This one determines these, kind of, because these missiles can proc off of this, I think. But this just is gross. And that's basically what it comes down to. Next up is Dio's Best Friend. Dio's Best Friend. Upon death, you can return to life with 3 seconds of invulnerability. This is an extra life. In Risk of Rain, extra lives are pretty important, but I'm not going to overrate it. I'm not going to say it's extremely good. It's very good. I think it would be dumb not to put it in the awesome tier, but I'm not going to put it in the god tier. I'm going to put it in the awesome tier. A lot of these items are designed to prevent you from dying. Having an extra life is nice, it's cool, but like, just don't die, forehead. Still very good, though. Next up, we have the Frost Relic. Killing an enemy surrounds you with an ice storm that deals 600% damage per second. The storm will grow with every kill, increasing its radius by 1 meter. It stacks up to 6 meters, and upon stacking more of these items, it gives you an additional 6 meters of radius that it can stack up to. It's a disgustingly good item. I would put it up probably right below the alien head. It's gross. It's hilariously fun to use. You just get surrounded by this maelstrom of icicles that do a massive amount of damage. And again, it just stacks with groups of enemies because every kill stacks it even higher. It's really good crowd control. Next up, we have the Headset. Increases jump height. Creates a 10-meter radius of kinetic explosion when you hit the ground, dealing 2,300 base damage that scales up with speed, and it recharges every 10 seconds, which you can then lower that recharge upon stacking the item more. Basically, it's a Goomba Stomp. Extremely good. But again, situational. Like, I'd rather be shooting an enemy than jumping on them, so I'm probably not going to put it up very high. I might actually put it below the Quail. I might actually put it below the Quail. I do love this item. I'm not underrating it. I do love this item. I think it's extremely good. It's very powerful, but the more time you're spending jumping on your enemies, the less time you're spending shooting them, which I believe you should be doing. Happiest Mask. Classic from the first game. Everybody loves this item. Killing enemies has a 7% chance to spawn a ghost of the killed enemy, and they have a 1,500% damage increase. The ghost lasts for 30 seconds. This is a gross item. This goes up with Ceremonial Daggers as one of the best items in the game. One of the top items you can get in this game. Nakuhana's Opinion. I go back and forth with this one. You store 100% of your healing that you have as soul energy, and after your soul energy reaches 10% of your maximum health, it fires a skull that deals 250% of your soul energy as damage. So basically, if you have a high amount of healing items, this basically just shoots out beams of energy that deal damage to enemies. But if you don't have a lot of healing, it's basically useless. It's functionally useless. It's a very good item on certain builds, but I would not say it's the best item in the game by any leaps and bounds. I would actually say it's worse than the Headset. The builds I normally go for benefit it and make it very good, but not everybody has those builds, and therefore, because it's only really good in a niche set of items, it's not worth being in the top tier. Oh my god, the Unstable Tesla Coil. Alright, this one's a ridiculous item. This thing is absolutely godly. Fire out lightning that hits 3 enemies. It's basically a walking ukulele. They're different. The lightning is actually technically different if you look at the stats of the items, but it's basically a walking ukulele. Fire out lightning that hits 3 3 enemies for 200% base damage every half second. It switches off every 10 seconds, but then it reactivates. So basically, you're just walking around doing ukulele. I'm going to put it right above the ukulele. I'm actually going to put it below the ukulele. Because you can make the ukulele arc better. And arc longer. The Tesla doesn't actually have a way to increase its range. You can increase the range of a uke. So I'm going to actually take the ukulele over the Tesla coil, but the Tesla coil it doesn't require you to shoot, you can just walk, so that's a benefit. Sentient Mean Hook is 20% chance on hit to fire homing hooks at up to 10 enemies that just constantly deal damage. Extremely good item. I would put it probably below the potato and above Transcendence. It is definitely an S tier item, but I would not take it over some of these items. However, it's still very good. It's still very good. It can just shoot out and deal damage to a bunch of enemies at one time. It's really good at crowd control, but again, requires proccing, and the likelihood of you getting 4 or 5 of these to make the chance of it instant is pretty low. Next up, we have the 57-leaf clover. And by next up, I mean lastly, we have the 57-leaf clover, because that's going to be last. So we have the Soul Catalyst, is that what that's called? The Soul Catalyst? Soulbound Catalyst. Killing enemies reduces your equipment cooldown by 4 seconds. It's really good, but I'm not going to put it in S tier just because it's extremely good, but there are ways to, like, I'd rather take Alien Head. I would rather take Alien Head. You can make this extremely good if you kill enemies with those skills, and then because you killed an enemy with the skill just recharges automatically. It's in the awesome tier. Listen up, it's already being rated as very high. No need to freak out. Then we have the Hard Light Afterburner. I call it the shoulder pads because I play as multi and he wears them as shoulder pads. It gives you 2 additional charges of your utility skill and reduces the cooldown of that skill by 33%. So for characters like Multi and Huntress and Mercenary, those skills are very important for being defensive. Excuse me, I got hiccups. Defensive mobility situation. Same with Commando. There are mobility and defensive maneuvers, and therefore adding additional uses of that makes it really, really useful, and then reducing the cooldown of it makes it useful. Very, very good. Very good item. I will put it up here above the Soulbound Catalyst, but again, I would not put it in the S tier with those other items. Just because I gotta balance it out, you know? I gotta balance it out. Let's actually just get rid of some of these. This goes in the F tier, this goes in the F tier, this goes in the F tier. This goes in the F tier, this goes in the F tier. And I guess technically this goes in the F tier. We'll organize those because technically you're worse, you're actually better than a lot of these. You get to go up here. You get to go up here. I'll explain what these do when I get to it, but I'm just going to knock those out of there because they don't belong in the goddamn game. You actually go down there as well. we'll explain what those do in a minute. Actually, you go down there as well. You're like second worst item in the game. Anyway, next up on the thing is the Wake of Vultures, which basically, the Wake of Vultures here gives you the power of elites upon killing them. It's like really good. It's like really, really good. That goes in the S tier. It's like really good. Upon killing an elite, you gain their abilities. Like that's just extremely good. Next up we have the Rejuvenation Rack. Basically double healing. It just doubles all healing that you have in the game. It goes up with these 3 because these 3 basically all work together as one. If this thing is healing you 25 per hit, this makes it 50 per hit. They all work together. This doubles every amount of healing you have in the game. It's extremely good. Just as a general rule, it's amazing. And then we have Shattering Justice. Ooh, where do I put this item? I love it. I love it. I gotta put it. Does it go above? the glasses. I think it does. I think it goes above the glasses. I think we're knocking the glasses down slowly. So what Shattering Justice does is after hitting an enemy 5 different times, you reduce their armor by 60. And so what that does, if an enemy doesn't have armor, it reduces their defense, making them take basically 60% more damage. So on every single enemy in the game, this just makes them weaker. It's way stronger than people think it is. This is a god item. This is a god item. It's almost better than Brainstalks, but Brainstalks is grossly overpowered. I'm actually going to put Brainstalks over the Behemoth, and that hurts my soul. But this is actually just a disgusting item, and it should not exist. It's gross. Every game, every roguelite needs an item like the Brainstalks. Every roguelite needs an item that is just disgustingly powerful that you don't ever want to look at. Isaac has Epic Fetus. Enter the Gungeon has the Clone. There are items that are just too strong that you just kind of avoid them. Brainstalks is kind of that item for Risk of Rain. It's so goddamn good. Next up we have the Resonance Disc. And the Resonance Disc is basically like an explosive frisbee that pierces enemies. It's really good, but I never use it. I'm going to put it at the bottom of the God tier because I'm going to put it at the top of Awesome tier. I know I'm going to squeak it down. I'm going to squeak it down. Yeah. I know it's extremely good, but I don't really use it. But I have seen it used, and I know it's extremely good. You're basically throwing a frisbee at enemies, and it just, like, explodes and just, like, pierces and does a shit ton of damage. It's really good, but I think I would rather have many of these other ones, because I don't need an active item taking up that slot. I would much rather have some of these other active items, Prayon, Cube, the Royal Capacitor, stuff like that. I would much rather have those, or the portable rockets. I would rather have that as well. And anyway, moving on to the active items. An hour and 21 minutes into this video, Jesus Christ. I feel bad for Rito, my buddy Retromation, who does YouTube content as well. Everybody go subscribe to his channel. He recently has been doing some Enter the Gungeon tier rankings. He ranked every gun and every item from Enter the Gungeon, and it took him 2.5 hours. I'm ranking all the items from Risk of Rain, and it's taking me this long. So, like, boy, I feel bad for my dude. Anyway, disposable missile launcher, we already talked about it. It's extremely good. It's one of my favorites. It's a classic from the first game. It fires 12 missiles that do 300% damage. It's basically the ATG on active use. Really good, and that's why it's below the ATG, because the ATG is just like a 10% chance that's constantly when you're attacking things. Next up we have, I'm going to explain why these are all in the F tier. So backup, it just summons missile drones. Early game, extremely good. Late game, they die instantly. The radar, it searches out openable, interactable items in the level. Its use case is very limited if you're smart enough to just like run around and know the maps and see where the items are. It kind of immediately, it's kind of like your first week of playing the game, you're really in love with this item, and past that you forget it exists. What's this thing called? It's called the Blast. Yeah, Blast Shower. So this basically just gets rid of all debuffs. It's okay, but like, why would you ever take it kind of deal? The Foreign Fruit classic item, it heals 50% of your health instantly, but its cooldown is way too goddamn long for it to even be reliable as a healing item when you could have other items up here. Rejuve, Harvester Scythe. I would even fucking take Leech Seed over it. It's just not worth an active slot. At 50%, if it was 100% heal and it had a 60% or a 60 second or 40 second cooldown, maybe, but even still, probably not. The Recycler basically re-rolls items. I guess it could be cool, but again, not really worth an active slot. It's not really worth carrying around in your active slot. The Gilded Cannon, it spends your money to fire a machine gun. I guess it's cool for bosses, but at the same time, your money is also your experience and how you level up in the game, so it's kind of just wasting experience and wasting items. I hate it. I think it's dumb, but it's called the crowdfunder for a reason. This was basically put in because the game was successful on Kickstarter. Was it Kickstarter? Or did they do one of the other sites? I don't think they did Kickstarter. Anyway. This thing just is like a warp hole that you can travel around the map with. Kind of garbage, not really worth a spot. Anyway, moving on. The cube. Very, very good item. Very, 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 very good item. Probably my favorite active item in the game. You throw a black hole that sucks all enemies in the area into it, and it allows you to just immediately start shredding a giant group of enemies. You throw grenades at them, you throw bombs at them, AoE attacks. It's just amazing. It's also defensive. You can throw a black hole down and run away if you're low on health. It prevents enemies from chasing you. It's just like one of the best items in the game. Easily one of the best items in the game. Ocular HUD used to be one of my favorites. I will still put it in the awesome tier because it is useful. It basically gives you crit chance for 8 seconds. It gives you 100% crit for 8 seconds. If you aren't able to find crit chance goggles or stuff like that, this can be extremely useful to carry with you because it basically gives you double damage for 8 seconds. And therefore still very viable, but you would probably prioritize hang on to it, like carry it with you and use it when you can use it, but as soon as you start stacking up crit, it's disposable the second you start stacking up crit because you can't over crit. Prey on Accumulator. Alright. Let me give you the actual explanation of this, because if I call it just the Kamehameha wave, people probably know what I'm talking about. Alright. Fires prey on tendrils, zapping enemies within 35 meters for up to 600% damage per second. On contact, detonate in an enormous 20-meter explosion for 4,000% damage. The most powerful active item in the game, and it goes up probably right under the hammer. It's disgustingly powerful. It's up there with the god items. Ooh, my throat hurts. I've been talking for so long. Chat, we're almost done. The Milky Chrysalis, I'm going to put that at the bottom of decent. It gives you flight. It gives you flight for like 40 seconds. 15 seconds. Okay, it gives you 15 seconds of flight. Pretty dumb. Just get a couple feathers and you can jump around. Royal Capacitor, this thing is god. This thing is amazing. Royal Capacitor, call down a lightning strike on a targeted monster, dealing 3,000% and stunning nearby monsters. One of the most powerful active items in the game. Definitely one of the most powerful active items in the game. It goes right up and snug between those two. Gnarled Wood Sprite, this boy just follows you around and heals you. He's a good boy. I don't think he's the best active item in the game, but he's definitely a useful one for like playing on Monsoon. But I'm gonna put him down with the Leeching Seed. I still think he's worse than having some of these other healing items, but he does his job. He does his job. The Volcanic Egg turns you into a dragon. It's pretty dumb. I'm gonna put it with the Milky Chrysalis. It's kind of dumb. Again, its use case is kind of stupid. Like, why would you use it? Kind of deal. Oh my god, my freaking throat hurts. Ugh, we're almost done. All right, the Saw Blades. You throw 3 large saw blades that saw through enemies for 3 times 400% damage, and also deals damage per second while bleeding enemies can strike them on the way back. Very good. I don't use it as much as I should, so I'm gonna actually put it up with the Resonance Disc. These both I need to start using more. I need to start using both of these more. 100%. Like, there's no if and or but about it. I need to use both of them more. But anytime I come across a red, I don't really feel like using the Resonance Disc. It doesn't take up an active slot like the Saw Blade does, so I guess there's a reason to take it, but I'd rather not. This is a very good song. It's Monsoon, isn't it? Yeah, classic Risk of Rain. Anyway, Jade Elephant. On use gives you 500 armor. It's really good, and it can stack with Gesture of the Drown, where you constantly just have armor, so I'm going to throw it up into the Great tier underneath my Teleporter bro here. I think it's very good, but you can't guarantee you're going to have Gesture of the Drown, so like on use, 500 armor is pretty good, but Again, armor just drains, so like that's kind of a panic button. It's good, but it's still just kind of a panic button. Okay, then we get to these essences, and these essences are things that are extremely rare drop. They drop from elites on a 1 out of 4,000 or 0.025% chance, and basically you gain the powers of that elite. So this is the aspect of fire. You gain blazing enemies, abilities, making you start the ground on fire. Everything you touch turns to fire. These all go up into pretty much the S tier. This is the aspect of ice, making you an ice boy that freezes everything. It again goes up here into the ice elite thing. Overloading makes you overloading. Everything you touch is electrified, and you shoot out electric balls that explode on contact. Become an enemy of corruption. It's actually technically the best one, maybe the best of all of them. This basically makes you a malachite entity, which, upon damaging an enemy, makes them not allowed to heal. Actually, you know, making them not allowed to heal anymore. Not a lot of enemies heal in the game, but still. Yeah, not a lot of enemies heal in the game, actually. I'm going to drop that one down a bit. But these three get to hang out up there. And then this is the Celestine one, which I believe just is bad. Like, the rare drop and seeing it is cool. For cool factor, I guess it goes up here. But not really. Because it just makes you invisible? Is that what that one does? It just makes you invisible? I'm pretty sure it just makes you invisible, right? Because Celestines don't have, like, any stats. They just have an aura of invisibility around them. Invisibility, not invincibility. Invisibility. And last but not least, the 57 leaf clover. It is the best item in the game. It is the best item in the game. It's actually so far the best item in the game, it should probably have its own tier. So what the 57 leaf clover does is every effect in the game, every effect. So the chance to bleed, the chance to bleed, the chance to shoot off a rocket, the chance to arc damage, like lightning, the chance to burn, like every effect in the game is re-rolled an additional time for every clover you have on you. And it gives you a favorable outcome. So basically, this doubles your chances upon pickup of things occurring. Ukulele procking, rockets shooting. So effectively, by picking this up, this goes from a 10% chance to a 20% chance. It's not exactly that mathematically, but it basically is. You know what I mean? Because if you roll 10% and it gives you a 0, it rolls it again. If that makes sense. I'm going to actually break down the actual math on the wiki for you, because there's some serious math that goes in this item. It affects all random effects other than tougher times, so it won't actually affect tougher times being able to resist damage. For each 57 leaf clover, if a successful proc is not achieved on a roll, it will be rolled an additional time, repeated again, equal to the number of clovers the player has, so 1 for 1, 2 for 2, etc., etc. For example, if a player has one item, the chance to proc it is 20% and has 57 leaf clover. If the player attacks and the item does not proc, the reroll will be done once more, as the player has 1 clover. Successes are measured per effect, not in a whole, so if one item roll is successful, other items that were triggered by the same proc will continue to roll if unsuccessful. It's ridiculous. So, like, say you fire off a rocket. Say you fire off a rocket, or say you hit an enemy and it rolls to fire a rocket and it says, no, you can't fire a rocket. It re-rolls to fire the rocket. It fires the rocket that second time. Rocket shoots off, hits enemy. Enemy gets hit, triggering the ukulele. Ukulele's like, nope, it didn't proc. It rolls again. It procs the ukulele. The ukulele hits the enemy. it gives you it's really good. It's the best item in the game. But anyway, that is my official ranking of every item in Risk of Rain 2. It only took us an hour and 34 minutes, but we got through everything. If you guys liked this video, of course, like it. If you didn't like it, of course, dislike it. If you agree with me, let me know your comments down below, letting me know which items you think I got wrong, which items you think I overrate, underrate, etc., etc. What is your favorite item in Risk of Rain 2? What is your least favorite item in Risk of Rain 2, and why is it the Medkit? Or Chronobauble. I'll accept both of those. They're both bad. And then, yeah, what is your favorite legendary item, and what is your favorite... You know what is your favorite item of each rarity? I'd like to know what your favorite item of each rarity is. Common, uncommon, and legendary. I will let you know my favorite common item is the Lensmaker's Glasses. My favorite uncommon item is either the Ukulele or the Will-O-Wisp, depending on which day it is. And my favorite legendary item is, of course, the Brilliant Behemoth. So let me know what your favorites are in the comments below. My name is Pentahybrid. Join us on the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Pentahybrid, where we play Risk of Rain 2 quite often now, by myself or with my friends. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.